How to always win at Uno. Never play a +2 or +4 at the start of the game. It's very likely your opponents have another +2 and you'll end up drawing 6 cards. If a player only has 2 cards left, talk to them about something interesting when it's their turn. They'll get distracted by the conversation and forget to say Uno. On the other hand, if you have 2 cards left and one is a color change card, never pick the color of your last card because the other players will do everything they can to change it again. Finally, if the player on your right only has 1 card left and no one can change the color, pretend you drop your cards on the table. Everyone will see your cards, but they'll also figure out the number you need to change the color. Foods that were invented by accident. Thousands of years ago, some merchants carried milk on a rocky road, making the milk shake a lot through the journey. Days later, they noticed that movement mixed with the extreme heat had turned the milk into a yellow solid block. And it was tasty too. That is how cheese was born. Now, frozen popsicles. In 1900, a boy made powdered soda, but he forgot it on his porch. The next morning, he found the cup full of the mix frozen by the low temperature during the night. Years later, he created a $1 million business. If you're going to watch a football match but your seat is in the middle of the rival fans, wear the rival's jersey and don't cheer for your team or they'll beat you to death. If there's a fight in your neighborhood, don't just stand there doing nothing. Record a video with your cell phone and post it on YouTube to get rich. If you're walking around at night and come across an alien, don't tell anyone. Everyone will think you've gone crazy and lock you up. If your house is engulfed in flames, touch the doorknob before opening a door. If it's so hot that it burns, there's fire behind the door, so find another exit. Your girlfriend leaves you because you're ugly and poor. Do this to get her back. First, to fix the ugly part, look up a daily calisthenics routine along with mewing exercises. Now shave your beard, fix your hair, and take off your glasses. Losers always wear glasses. On the other hand, for the poor part, sell your old clothes and buy 2 fake Gucci t-shirts. That way everyone will think you are rich. Also, ask ChatGPT to write 20 self-help books for you. If you publish them online for $15, with only 200 copies sold, you will have $3,000. If your ex blocked you on all social media, go out with your friends and post it. She'll be curious and will unblock you to see how interesting you are. Finally, become friends with ugly girls. Your ex can't stand seeing you with someone worse and will come running back to your arms.
If you're at the mall and a stranger drops some money in front of you, don't pick it up. You're in a hidden camera honesty test and you'll look ridiculous. If you're walking and you see a grenade on the ground, don't try to throw it away. It could explode in your hand the moment you touch it. Instead, run as fast as you can and hide while covering your ears. If you're lost in the jungle and a monkey steals your stuff, don't try to fight it. Monkeys are really strong and you'll get beaten up. Instead, grab a banana and trade it for your thing. If a gas station is selling their gas at a really low price, don't even think about filling up. They've probably mixed it with oil to make it cheaper.
Your poor friend's parents invite you to eat at their house. Do this so you don't look ridiculous. Wear poor clothes, keep your money, and watch safe. And hide your iPhone 17 so no thief steals it. If the house is dirty and broken, don't say anything, as they are a poor family. They don't have money to repair it. On the other hand, don't spit out the food if it's disgusting. You have to eat it all, even if you don't like it. Try to talk to the whole family, but don't talk about your money or mention the new Ferrari your mother bought. If they are rude at the table, don't correct them. But above all, never ask why there is no dessert. Poor people don't have money for food. Finally, when you have finished eating, help clear the table, wash the dishes, and subscribe to BigDanBaby.
If you're going to a job interview, don't wear branded or luxurious clothes. They'll think you've got a lot of money and won't hire you. If you have little white balls on your bed, take a bucket of water and wet everything. They are spider eggs about to hatch that will drown in the water. If you travel to Germany and call for a taxi, don't raise your hand. It is very disrespectful and the police will put you in jail. If you wake up and you've peed on the bed, do not panic. It is very likely that the day before you drank too much water.
If you're in an exam but you don't know the answer, write a short message explaining you didn't have time to study. You'll still get a 0, but the teacher won't think you're an idiot. If you have a date on the internet, never lie about your height. One day you'll meet her in person and she'll find out the truth. If you're tied up on train tracks, don't waste time trying to free yourself. Instead, focus on twisting your body to fit underneath the train. If you're going to tattoo a phrase in another language, don't even think about using Google Translate. It might mistranslate the phrase and you'll look ridiculous. If you pick a fruit in the jungle, don't eat it. The jungle fruits are very poisonous and you'll die right away. If you're in a place you don't know and no one is using their phone, don't be an idiot and hide your phone. You've entered a dangerous neighborhood and thieves will rob you. If you're always tired and sleepy, eat lots of meat. Digestion will force you to stay awake and you'll have endless energy. If you come across a time machine, don't travel to the past. They'll think you're a witch and will burn you alive.
If you find oil in your backyard, can you keep it? Even if the oil is on your land, it doesn't mean you're automatically rich, because depending on where you live, you might only own the property on the surface of the land and not what's underneath. But then who actually owns the oil? It could belong to a company, but usually it's probably government property. But even if the oil does belong to you, there are laws about how and when you can extract it, depending on the country. In Dubai, you can extract the oil no problem, but in the United States, there are laws on the environment that are stricter. If your country allows drilling, you have 3 options. Rent it to a company, which will take a share of the oil, sell the land and make millions of dollars, or take the risk and extract the oil yourself. 3 crazy ways that criminals escaped from prison. In 2015, the Mexican drug lord El Chapo escaped from a maximum security prison through a tunnel under his cell. The tunnel had everything: lights, ventilation, and even a motorcycle. El Chapo rode the motorcycle for over a kilometer to a nearby construction site. But in Denmark, a man named Brian escaped by stealing an excavator and using it to break down the prison wall. But he was caught a few days later and locked up again. Lastly, Neil Moore created a fake website that looked identical to the government's website. Then, he sent an email with forged documents and convinced the guards to let him go free. 3 days later, they realized it was all fake, but by then, he had already disappeared.
If you've been kidnapped and the criminals want to use your credit card, tell them the card has no money, but that you have a better card at home. If they take you to your house, you will have a chance to escape. If you are at the beach and want to swim in the sea, put your things in a bag and bury it in the sand. Thieves won't be able to find your belongings and won't rob you. If you take a taxi or an Uber, open Google Maps on your phone to compare the route. The driver will take a longer route to charge you more money. If you are trapped in an elevator, mark the wall every time you sleep. If the rescue takes a long time, the marks will tell you how many days you've been there. If you're cooking and the pan catches fire, don't throw water on it. You'll only make the fire spread faster. It's better to cover it with a wet cloth. If you're at the museum and a piece of art falls near you, don't try to grab it or put it back in place. Even if it looks intact, if it breaks when you touch it, you'll have to pay a lot of money. If you're in a library and pick up a very old book to read, never lick your fingers to turn the page. It may have very old poison between the pages. If you get stung by a jellyfish, don't pee on the wound. That will only make the pain worse. Instead, wet it with seawater and rushed to the hospital.
A man was shot in the head, but the bullet only grazed him and lodged into a nearby tree. 10 years later, this same man was cutting down that exact tree, but it was too thick, so he decided to use dynamite. He tied 3 sticks to the trunk and lit the fuse, but the explosion sent the old bullet flying toward him, striking him in the head again, and this time it killed him instantly.
If you break a glass, don't pick up the pieces with your hands. Instead, turn off all the lights and place a flashlight on the floor. The light will shine on the pieces of glass, and even the smallest fragments will glow. Then take a small potato, cut it in half, and rub it over every little piece of glass. The sharp edges will stick to the potato. When you lift the potato, the pieces of glass will stick to it, and you will be able to walk without cutting your feet. In 1950, a doctor cut off the head and legs of a small puppy and attached it to a bigger dog, carefully connecting the chest tissues to the organs of the main dog. The dog managed to live normally and could bark and drink water on its own, but the veins did not hold after the surgery, leaving the small dog without blood flow, and it died days later. Even though the operation was technically a success, the dog only lived for 4 days after the implant.
The actor slips one arm into the left wing while the right wing is attached by a string, and his other arm reaches up through the neck and into the head. He opens and closes his hand to move the beak while speaking, and his little finger pulls a hidden string that controls the eyes. To help him remember his lines, there is a note taped inside the costume that is illuminated by a small light, and a screen at his waist displays a live feed so he can see his performance in real time.
The class clown's parents invite you to play at their house. Do this so you don't look ridiculous. Don't knock the door or ring the bell. It's very likely that it's a prank from your friend, and that's the neighbor's house. Once inside, don't ask him why he doesn't have friends. The class clown is always alone and he'll start crying. At dinner, don't even think about trying the food. They put a lot of chili on your food to prank you. On the other hand, if they tell you a joke, laugh even if you don't get it, or they'll kick you out. Finally, even if you're very sleepy, don't go to bed first. The family will paint your face at night and they'll make fun of you in the morning.
If you're going down a water slide and see a nail in the way, dodge it however you can. If you hit it at high speed, you'll look ridiculous. If you're going to drive but you're dying of sleep, don't try turning up the music to stay awake. Your brain will shut down and you could end up in an accident. If you run into someone wanted by the police, don't panic and don't look them in the eye. Just play it cool and act normal while you call 911. If you're getting chased by a murderer and need to escape without being seen, walk backwards to leave reversed footprints. That will confuse him and you'll throw him off. With this trick, I'll make sure no one ever bullies my son. When my son turns 5, I'll enroll him in a public school. He'll make some friends and live a normal, ordinary childhood until he turns 11. At that point, on just another regular day, he'll go down to the garage and see a very strange machine that won't stop making noises. He'll get closer and start touching it, and right then, boom, I'll rush into the garage and say, "Son, please tell me you didn't touch my time machine." He won't know what to say and will start crying. But just then, we'll hear someone knocking at the door, and we'll find 3 homeless men I will have hired. Now, they'll say to him, "We're your best friends 30 years from now. If you want to live, stay away from us." This way, my son will become a lone wolf with a lot of aura. 3 world records that are impossible to break. First, the person who has eaten the most metal. A man in France named Michel developed a condition that makes you eat strange things. He started eating wheels, metal, and glass. When he realized he could eat absolutely anything without getting sick, he earned the world record by eating 16 pipes, 8 bicycles, and even an entire airplane. Second, the biggest diamond in the world. A miner named Frederick discovered a huge crystal-like rock while working underground. He gave it to his boss, and after examining it, they realized it was a diamond that was 4,000 carats. Experts estimate its value at around $400 million. But that's nothing compared to the next record, because it's impossible to beat. A young man named Robert McDonald wanted to see how many days he could stay awake. A few days later, he began hallucinating and losing his mind, but he managed to stay awake for 19 days, 21 hours, and 40 minutes. This record is so dangerous for your health that it was eventually banned from the Guinness World Records. If you're at a supermarket and someone accidentally spills something on you, be careful and check all of your pockets. It's a trick that criminals use to distract the victim. If a stranger hands you a briefcase full of money, don't touch it and take a photo of the stranger. It's a scam that criminals often use to get rid of stolen money. If you're walking but you start flying, don't go to the bathroom to pee. You're dreaming and you'll end up wetting the bed. If you're stuck on a desert island for a very long time, draw a smiley face on a coconut and talk to it about life. That way you won't go completely crazy.
How to always win at Uno. Never play wild cards at the start of the game. It's very likely your opponents have another one, and it could backfire on you. If the player next to you only has 2 cards left, play a reverse card. Remember, it's not about improving your own play, it's about messing up your opponent's turn. On the other hand, when you have a color change card, say colors you don't have, it's very likely they'll try to block you, but in the end, they'll actually be helping you. Finally, if the next player only has 1 card, you can pretend you don't have any useful cards and draw until you get a +4. No one will know what cards you really have. How to make your little kid go to school. First, if your 6-year-old hates school and makes a big fuss about everything so he won't go, the only thing you'll do is tell him that if he goes to school every day without complaining, he can take 2 days off and stay home twice a week. Then, your child will get happy right away and say yes. From that day on, he'll go to school with a smile every morning. If he complains, you'll have to remind him of the deal you made and tell him he won't get any days off. But this trick isn't forever. A time will come when he notices that the days he gets off are always Saturday and Sunday, but you'll have plenty of time to think of another deal. If you're really ugly and have a date, don't look her in the eyes. She'll notice how ugly you are and reject you. If you're going to sneeze, don't even think about covering your nose. The air in your lungs is so strong, it could break your bones. If you're at a party and you feel a mosquito bite, get out of there. Call the police. They injected you with a drug to make you sleep. If you travel to a country you don't know, never take a taxi at the airport. They're professional scammers and they'll steal all your money.
If you leave the bathroom and your mum has invited the neighbors over, turn on the shower to the hottest temperature possible. A curtain of steam will form and you can walk by without being seen. If you're at school and accidentally enter the wrong classroom, do not run out embarrassed. It's better to pretend you came to get something you forgot. If you're sleeping and wake up with a very strong pain, turn on the light and check your bed as fast as possible. You could have been bitten by a spider or something worse. If you're eating sushi and it's not cold, don't eat it even if you're hungry. hungry. It might have been stored outside the fridge and could have parasites inside.
If you go swimming in a pool, always wear an orange swimsuit. If you start drowning, the lifeguards will be able to see you easily under the water. If a bear is chasing you, take off your clothes and throw them on the ground as you run. It will stop to smell your clothes, giving you time to escape. If you have a lot of itchiness behind your ear and you can't stop blinking, run to the doctor as soon as possible. You might be suffering from facial paralysis. If you're an idiot and fall off a boat, take off your pants and fill them with air. They'll work like a float and you'll be able to survive.
If a rat nest floods with water, the rats quickly group together, putting the babies first. Then they bite onto each other and create a compact structure, forming a raft of living rats that floats on the water. This raft stops the babies and weak rats from drowning, placing them in the center and keeping them alive. The rats on the outside must be the strongest to handle the hits and the water impact. Together they hold on until they float to higher ground to regain strength and find a new home. The bullet was fired toward the kitchen of the house. Inside, a mother and her daughter were terrified when they saw the bullet heading straight for the mother's chest, but she was holding a steel frying pan by the handle, and instead of hitting the woman, the bullet ricocheted off the pan and shot off toward the daughter, but it only grazed her cheek. The impact dented the pan, but it saved the lives of the woman and her daughter.
If a delivery guy needs to use the bathroom, make sure no windows are left open. It's an old trick that criminals use to rob houses during the night. If you notice a lot of birds flying just above ground, flee as soon as possible in the same direction. Soon you'll see a huge tornado about to strike. If you're stuck inside a free-falling elevator, don't try to jump at the very last moment. You'll be flying as fast as a racing car and you'll die on the spot. If you're stuck in a car underwater and the door won't open, use the headrest of the car seat to break the window by hitting a corner with the metal.
If a piece of skin sticks out of the corner of your finger, do not try to tear it off. The wound could keep tearing without stopping. It's better to use scissors to cut it off. If it's your grandmother's birthday, never throw her a surprise party. You could give her a deadly fright and she won't make it to her next birthday. If you accidentally go into the women's bathroom, don't try to hide to avoid being seen. Someone might catch you and think you're a pervert. If you go to dinner with your girlfriend and your card gets declined, don't admit that you're broke and have no money. It's better to say you were traveling abroad and your account only has dollars.
If an ant nest floods with water, the ants quickly rescue the queen and the larva, prioritizing their safety. Then they link their bodies together to form a raft of living ants that floats on the water. This raft protects the queen and the baby ants from the water, placing them in the center and ensuring their survival. The ants on the bottom row help each other, taking turns to avoid drowning, and they manage to float to higher ground, saving the lives of the queen and the larva.
If you're an idiot and don't know how to swim, extend your arms and legs, making a star shape to float. If you choke while eating and you're alone, jump against a big chair with all your strength. You'll expel the food that is choking you. If you're on the beach and you get stung by a jellyfish, don't pee on the wound. It's very likely that bacteria will infect the wound. If you find yourself trapped in a car with no brakes, don't jump out of the window. You'll get out so fast that you will break your head. It's better to downshift and stop very slowly by rubbing against a wall.
If you get kidnapped and the criminals want to use your credit card, tell them it doesn't have much money on it and you have another one at home. If they take you there, you might get a chance to escape. If you're at the beach and want to go in the water, put your things in a plastic bag and bury it in the sand. Thieves won't be able to find them and you won't get robbed. If you take a taxi or an Uber, open maps on your phone to compare the route. The driver might take you a longer way to make the ride more expensive. If you're stuck in an elevator, mark the wall each time you sleep. If the rescue takes a long time, this will help you keep track of
the moon.
If you're at a party and you feel like something has stung or pricked you, get out of there as fast as you can. Someone might have injected you with a drug to make you lose consciousness. If you're in the bathroom and you drop your phone into the toilet, don't try to put it in rice to absorb the water. It's a myth that doesn't work, and the rice could get stuck inside the phone. If you're the mother of a newborn baby, never take him to a public hospital. Other poor and sick patients might try to attack you out of jealousy. If you need to get an MRI, do not enter the room with metal objects. The machine has a super magnet that will attract them with massive force.
If you come across a wolf, shout and fight against it. Wolves only attack while in packs, and if you hit it, he'll get scared. If you're very sick, get up and go out to play sport. If you sweat a lot of liquid, you'll expel the virus from your body. If your father calls you on the phone, but he only wants to ask you for money, turn on airplane mode. He'll think you don't have coverage and will stop calling you. If you're lost on a completely desert island, but you're an idiot and don't know how to make fire, fish for raw fish and make sushi. First, remove all the bacteria and then eat it very carefully.
If you're lost on the street and you see a lot of kids asking for money, run away as fast as possible. It is an old trick used by criminals to steal from you. If you're an idiot and sleep with your phone, be careful. If it gets too hot, it will cause a big explosion and burn your house. If you have leeches sucking on your body, don't take them off. They'll vomit on the wound and you'll die from diseases. If you're on a bike and you're about to fall, freeze and do absolutely nothing. The bike will keep going straight by itself due to the speed.
If you are at a party and your drink is a little salty, do not drink it. It's very likely that someone put drugs in. If someone is attacking you from behind, try to scratch him. You'll sure get a sample of his DNA in your nails. If you're kidnapped in a car and they force you to drive, crash your car accidentally, it is very likely they're not wearing a safety seatbelt. If you come face to face with a big lion, maintain your eye contact and walk backwards very slowly.
A cat jumped into a deep well full of dead animals in India, and its owner jumped in to save it. But he got trapped, and the corpses had filled the well with toxic gases. When he called for help, his son jumped into the well to rescue him, but he also got completely stuck. 3 other family members tried to help, jumping in one after the other, but all of them got trapped in the well. Finally, a 6th family member went down with a rope tied to his waist. He was rescued 10 hours later by a group of people who pulled the rope after hearing his screams. But the other 5 men had already died from suffocation due to the toxic gases in the well. The police found the ship's crew paralyzed by fear, with their mouths and eyes completely open, and their bodies deformed as if they had all seen something terrifying. The bodies had no wounds or injuries, but something terrible had happened that very same day. The ship sent a mysterious distress message, which ended with the following phrase, "I am dead." And just before boarding the ship, an explosion set the whole deck on fire, and the police were forced to evacuate. They managed to escape in the last second before the ship exploded and sank, taking all the evidence to the bottom of the sea.
If you're dumb and have lots of tattoos, hide them before you enter a dangerous neighborhood. Criminals might think you're part of an enemy gang and you'll get killed. If you're dying of hunger and find an animal corpse, don't eat it. Even if you cook the meat, it'll be full of bacteria and you'll die instantly. If you're on a plane and see a lot of black backpacks, quickly go and notify the pilot and analyze the passengers very carefully. They are terrorist bombs to blow up the plane. If it's raining but you're feeling very hot, run home and shower as soon as possible. There's a good chance it's actually acid rain that has burned your skin.
You're going to school, but then a thief tries to rob you. Do this quickly so you can fool him. When you come across the thief, secretly observe and analyze his pockets. It is very likely there's a weapon hidden in there. On the other hand, if he takes out a knife, do not resist. Your life is more important than a stupid old phone. But what happens if you are carrying very expensive things? Take your phone and smash it on the floor. If you're able to confuse the thief, you'll gain some time to escape. Run fast without looking back. Go into the store closest to you and call the police. Carefully review all security cameras. Report the theft to the police and subscribe to BigDanBaby.
An earthquake bed will swallow you up. If it senses an earthquake is coming, it instantly raises up walls around you to form a secure box, essentially sealing you inside a reinforced shelter. The structure can withstand really heavy loads and even remains intact under the pressure of collapsed walls. It also has food and water hidden inside on a shelf, in case you're trapped for extended periods. If you jump from a 50-story building, most people think that if you wrap yourself in bubble wrap, you won't die, since bubble wrap is designed to absorb impacts. But you'd need a cushion that's 3 meters thick to slow your fall gradually and spread the force over a larger area. And if you tried to cover yourself with bubble wrap, you'd need over 15,000 layers of bubble. That would create an armor 200 meters thick to fully absorb the force of the impact.
If you are freezing to death, but you start to feel a strong heat, don't take off your clothes. You are about to die, and your body is burning up all its energy to warm up all your organs. If you're being chased by a crocodile, run doing zigzags as fast as possible. Crocodiles don't know how to turn while out of the water. If you are about to sleep, but you hear a little baby crying, don't even think about going outside. It is a trick used by many criminals to enter and rob empty houses. If you have been bitten by a venomous snake, do not panic. If your heart speeds up, the venom will mix with your blood and you'll die.
They put a statue through a scanner and discovered there was a skeleton inside. You see, a monk had died of starvation while meditating, and his body became mummified. Later, his organs were removed and replaced with sacred scrolls. They wrapped his body in paper mache and painted it to look like Buddha. Over the next several thousand years, the statue changed owners many times, and no one remembered there was a corpse inside, until a new buyer wanted to restore it and realized there were human bones inside. If you're broke and need money, grab a box with the Mr. Beast logo and put a rock inside it. Now, go to a large mall while a friend records you with their phone and ask if anyone wants the mystery box in exchange for $5. They'll think it's a Mr. Beast video and that the box has $1 million inside, but they'll only get a rock and you'll walk away with $5. If you repeat this 20 times a day, you'll earn over $5,000 a month.
How to survive a week-long blackout. Close the doors and put up barricades on the doors. There are many thieves who think it's the apocalypse and will want to attack you. Take the food out of the cupboard and put it in the fridge. Even if it doesn't work, it protects the food from bugs and germs. To light the house, use candles inside cans with holes. You'll have a mobile lamp and you can also cook on it. Prepare plastic buckets in all the windows to collect water when it rains. And if you have to go out, try to go armed and with supplies. If a criminal gang corners you, you could attack them or negotiate your freedom with food.
If you're at school and you see some bullies harassing some little kid, don't help him because they will beat you up. Instead, record a video for YouTube and the police will send them to jail. If you're lost in the ocean, don't drink seawater. You'll vomit and instantly dehydrate. If you've been abducted by a group of terrorists, hide your designer clothes and luxury items. If they realize that you're a rich kid, they will call your family and demand a huge ransom. If you're fat and can't lose weight, eat a lot of fruit. You'll fill your belly very fast and you won't feel hungry.
A town in the United States started to notice a strange smell in the 1970s. The water had a bitter taste and people started getting sick. But what they didn't know was that their homes had been built on top of a toxic waste dump. Decades before the town was built, 20,000 tons of chemical waste had been buried underground by a nuclear laboratory. When construction of the town began, the waste started seeping into basements, gardens, and the water supply. The disaster led to the urgent evacuation of the entire neighborhood, and many families suffered long-term health effects. If you win the lottery, don't buy luxury clothes or cars. Everyone will suspect you have a lot of money and thieves will steal from you. If a construction building mysteriously appears in your neighborhood out of nowhere, check if the workers are wearing construction clothes and carrying tools. They are probably building a giant bomb to blow up your neighborhood. If you're driving and fall into a lake, don't waste time trying to open the door. It's impossible due to the water pressure. Instead, lower the window and swim out. If you're lost in the middle of the ocean and catch a sunfish, do not eat it. It has such a strong venom that it'll kill you instantly. The water began to recede rapidly, leaving the sea floor visible. People were confused and started to realize the huge wave approaching the shore. It was a giant tsunami caused by an underwater earthquake. As the wave approached, it grew in height, reaching 30 meters in several areas. It swept through the city with enormous force, destroying everything around it. The wave wiped out entire neighborhoods, leaving only rubble and destruction. More than 160,700 people lost their lives in this region alone.
How to always win at Uno. Never play wild cards at the start of the game. It's very likely your opponents have another one, and it could backfire on you. If the player next to you only has 2 cards left, play a reverse card. Remember, it's not about improving your own play, it's about messing up your opponent's turn. On the other hand, when you have a color change card, say colors you don't have, it's very likely they'll try to block you, but in the end, they'll actually be helping you. Finally, if the next player only has 1 card, you can pretend you don't have any useful cards and draw until you get a +4. No one will know what cards you really have.
How to spot a friend with depression. Ask your friends how they're doing. Someone with depression will often say, "I'm fine," even when they're not. If you suspect a friend, create a music playlist with them. It's very likely they'll only add sad songs to cry to. On the other hand, if you have a ghost friend who doesn't reply to messages or show up when you meet, go to their house because they might be in trouble. Lastly, even the clown of the group who always seems happy might be hiding depression. Remember, not everything is what it seems.
If you're attacked by a swarm of bees, many people will go underwater trying to escape from them, but the bees will be patiently waiting to attack you when you come up for air. Instead, use your shirt to cover your face, protecting your eyes and mouth. Run without looking back and look for a safe place like a car. Once you're under cover, carefully remove all the stingers to avoid receiving even more venom.